There is a power that makes no noise, yet moves mountains. While the world screams, the wise remain silent. While crowds fight over words, the chosen ones choose silence. And it's precisely there, in that empty space between noise and peace, that God whispers. If you're here right now, it's not by chance. Something inside you already knows. There's an ancient wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. Stay until the end of this video, because what you're about to understand can completely transform the way you live, react, and see the world. Welcome to the Kingdom of Wisdom. As a path, we live in an age of noise. Notifications, opinions, judgments, screams. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants the last word. But what if I told you that true strength isn't in speaking louder? What if true wisdom isn't in answering everything, but in knowing when to be quiet? Silence is not absence. It's not weakness. It's not omission. Silence is presence. It's control. It's concentrated power. When Jesus was accused before Pilate, he didn't shout. He didn't defend himself with endless arguments. He simply fell silent. And that silence shook empires. There's a lost art in this hurried world. The art of being quiet at the right moment. Of listening more than speaking. Of trusting more than proving. And this art is where wisdom is revealed. Silence as a wise response. How many times have you regretted something you said? How many words would you like to swallow back? How many arguments could have been avoided if you had chosen silence? There's a dangerous illusion in our culture. The illusion that we always need to respond, always need to explain ourselves, always need to defend ourselves. But the truth is, not every provocation deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every question deserves an explanation. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful answer you can give. When someone attacks you with harsh words and you don't retaliate, you destabilize, you disarm, you reveal the other person's own weakness, because those who attack expect reaction. Those who provoke expect fuel. And when you deny that, when you simply take a deep breath and choose silence, you regain control. It's not cowardice, it's wisdom. It's not fear, it's self-control. Silence doesn't run from conflict, it disarms it. And that, my friend, is a level of maturity that few achieve. Think of David. When he was persecuted by Saul, he could have screamed injustice, could have gathered armies against the king, but he chose to wait, chose to trust, chose strategic silence, and God fought for him. When you remain silent in the face of injustice, you cannot change. You're not being passive. You're surrendering the battle to the one who can truly win it. You're saying, I don't need to prove anything. I don't need revenge. I trust. And that silent trust is a radical act of faith. The silence that hears God now. Let's go deeper. Because silence isn't just about stopping talking to others. It's about starting to hear the one who has always spoken, but is rarely heard. God doesn't compete with the noise in your life. He doesn't shout louder than your worries. He doesn't compete for attention with your social media. He waits. He whispers. He reveals himself in silence. It was in the silence of the desert that Moses found the burning bush. It was in the silence of the cave that Elijah heard the still, small voice of God. It was in the silence of dawn that Jesus connected with the Father. And it's in the silence of your soul that you'll find direction. But how can we hear God if we never stop talking? How can we discern His voice if we're always filling the space with our own words, our own opinions, our own plans? There's a reason why the great men and women of God were people of silence. They understood that revelation doesn't come in tumult. Clarity doesn't come in anxiety. Wisdom doesn't come in haste. It comes when you stop, breathe, and simply listen. How many times has God already tried to speak to you, but you were too busy talking to Him? How many answers have you missed because you couldn't stay silent long enough to hear them? Silence before God is not empty. It's full of presence, full of peace, full of revelation. And when you learn to quiet your mind, your heart, your words, something supernatural happens. You begin to perceive things you didn't see before. You begin to understand things that didn't make sense before. You begin to walk with a confidence that doesn't come from yourself, but from the One who dwells within you. And people notice, because there's something different about someone who hears God. There's wisdom, there's timing, there's silent authority. That's the difference between those who merely talk about God and those who truly walk with Him. The silence that protects and reveals. There's something few people understand about silence. It's a form of protection. When you talk too much, you expose yourself too much. You give away your intentions. You reveal your weaknesses. You open doors for judgment, envy, and attacks. Not everyone deserves to know what God is doing in your life. Not everyone deserves to know your plans, your dreams, your struggles. There's profound wisdom in guarding certain things, in protecting what is sacred, in not turning your blessings into a spectacle. Joseph, son of Jacob, had a powerful dream, a dream of greatness, and he made a mistake. He told everyone, and that generated envy, hatred, betrayal. Not because the dream was wrong, but because not everyone was prepared to deal with that revelation. There are things God shows you that must be kept in your heart, protected in silence, nurtured in intimacy, until the right time comes, till manifestation arrives, till you don't even need to announce it, because reality itself will speak. Silence protects you from hasty opinions, protects you from envious eyes, protects you from people who will try to discredit what's still under construction. But silence also reveals. It reveals who truly matters, who stays even when you're not proving anything. It reveals your true intentions, because in silence, there are no masks. It reveals the truth, because when you stop talking, reality speaks. And often, that truth is more eloquent than 1,000 words could ever be. There's an impressive strength in someone who doesn't need to explain themselves all the time, who doesn't need to justify every choice, who doesn't need to convince anyone of who they are. That person already knows, and that's enough. The world may not understand now, but it will understand later, because silence doesn't prevent manifestation, it prepares. The silence that transforms. Now, let's get to the heart of the matter. Silence is not just an external practice, it's an internal transformation. When you choose silence in the face of provocation, you're killing the ego. When you choose silence in the face of injustice, you're cultivating trust. When you choose silence before God, you're opening space for renewal. Silence transforms because it forces you to look within, without distractions, without escapes, without excuses. It's difficult, I know, because in silence, you encounter not only God, but also yourself. And we don't always like what we see, but it's precisely there, in that honest confrontation, in that silent vulnerability, that true change happens. It's in silence that you recognize your mistakes without needing to announce them. It's in silence that you forgive without making a show of it. It's in silence that you grow without needing a stage. And you know what's incredible? When you transform in silence, people notice. They can't explain it, but there's something different about you. There's a peace that doesn't make sense given the circumstances. There's a wisdom that doesn't come from books. There's an authority that doesn't come from titles, because you're no longer trying to prove who you are. You simply are. And that, my friend, is freedom. Freedom from others' opinions. Freedom from the need for validation. Freedom from the anxiety of being misunderstood. You choose silence, and silence chooses you. And in that sacred partnership, You become someone the world cannot ignore, not because you shout, but because your presence speaks. Ancient wisdom, eternal power. There's a reason why all spiritual traditions value silence. Monks meditate in silence. Prophets seek God in the silent desert. The wise teach more through what they withhold than through what they say. Because silence is not merely the absence of sound, it's the presence of spirit. When you practice silence, you're practicing self-control, and self-control is power. You're no longer hostage to your emotions. You're no longer a slave to provocations. You're no longer controlled by the fear of being forgotten or misunderstood. You become master of yourself, and a man who controls his words controls his life. A man who chooses when to speak and when to remain silent is a wise man. And wisdom doesn't age. It doesn't become outdated. It doesn't lose value, because truth is timeless, and silence is the language of truth. Conclusion: wisdom doesn't shout. So, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to embrace silence? Ready to stop proving? Stop justifying? Stop defending yourself against every criticism? Ready to listen more than speak? Trust more than explain? Be more than seem? Because the world is already full of noise, but it's lacking wisdom. And true wisdom doesn't shout. It doesn't compete, doesn't impose itself, doesn't show off. It simply is. And when you choose the path of silence, you're choosing the path of the wise, the path of Jesus, the path of David, the path of those who trust that God fights for them. And believe me, when God fights for you, there's no battle you can lose. If this video touched your heart, if something inside you recognized this truth, leave a comment right now saying simply, "I choose silence." And subscribe to the Kingdom of Wisdom channel. Because here, we're not interested in noise. We're interested in truth, in transformation, in wisdom. And may sacred silence guide your steps, today, tomorrow, and always. Stay in peace, and stay wise.